In today's video, we're going to be covering the best players you should be looking to buy in blank game week 18, and we're going to be taking a look at which players will be jetting off to AFCON and the Asian Cup. And starting off the video today, I thought we'd take a look at a man who seems to be very hot on everybody's lips right now. It is Pedro Porro. After his 8-point kind of haul, if you like, for defenders this season, he is on a lot of people's potential transfer radar, and there's very good reason for that. Obviously, Spurs defensively are not the best side. There's no kind of getting around that. If you look at XG conceded over the past 5 to 6 game weeks, they are right down there in the top kind of, well, the bottom kind of 15, 16, 17 kind of teams within the league for XG conceded. And arguably, if you watched that game against Nottingham Forest and you were a Porro owner, you probably watched quite a bit of it from behind the sofa. But going against that, he is a very attacking kind of fullback. And you know what? He is going to get another mega haul at some point, picking up assists, picking up goals as well over the course of this season. Could have easily scored last night against Nottingham Forest. As a non-owner, I was kind of just hiding a little bit at the bar, just like, please don't score. I don't want it to go in. But he had a fantastic performance and definitely made me think, how can I get this man into my side? I think if we get kind of news that Kieran Trippier is potentially going to be out for a kind of long time, then I definitely think Pedro Porro would make excellent sense as a fantastic replacement to go for as well. Obviously, he's a little bit pricey at 5.5 million, but with the attacking returns that you do get, and hopefully some clean sheets, I think he could potentially justify that price point. As you can see, the next 3 fixtures are quite delicious for Spurs: Everton, Brighton and Bournemouth. And arguably, I was looking at Spurs' fixtures, I would say this guy is a hold up until around game week 32. After that, they play Arsenal, Liverpool, Newcastle and City as a 4 in a row. But I think up until game week 32, realistically, you could have Pedro Porro in your team, only at 20% owned at the moment, so you're still going to get plenty of rank gain off him. You know what I mean? If you bring him in this early. Like I said, some very positive fixtures coming up. Everton at home, you would back Spurs to potentially keep a clean sheet. I think the Brighton away game might be a little bit difficult. Bournemouth at home in game week 20 should be a very good fixture. But then even after that, the fixtures keep going. Manchester United, Brentford, Everton, and then Brighton again. But like I said, realistically, I think Pedro Porro could be a long-term hold up until game week 32. That's how good the Spurs fixtures are. That's how good he's been impressing me as well. My only concern is the lack of defensive data to go with Spurs, but if you can kind of offset that with attacking returns and hopefully some clean sheets along the way, I definitely think he makes really good value at 5.5 million. Let me know what you think of him down in the comments section below. Moving on to the second section of today's video, I wanted to talk about 3 of arguably my most favourite midfielders in the game at the moment. It is Palmer, it is Gordon, and it is Richarlison. I think if you don't own at least 1 or 2 of these by the end of next game week, you probably could be in a little bit of a mess. We're going to start off with Cole Palmer, an absolutely scintillating performance against Sheffield United. Arguably could have picked up even more points if Chelsea had that penalty given and if Omania Broja actually had legs to put the ball in the back of the net. But we still take the positive points away from his performance. 2 goals, 1 assist, good underlying data as well to go with that. 5.5 million represents absolutely amazing value for me, ladies and gentlemen. I expect him to get another price rise, potentially tonight, potentially on Sunday evening as well, and he would be a player with Chelsea's good long-term fixtures that I would be looking to bring in. I think he's a very easy hold even through the more difficult fixtures as well, just down to that price point. I don't think we're going to find another high quality player playing for, you know, arguably a top team in Chelsea at that rock bottom price, who is on penalties as well. Like I said, he represents amazing value for me. Some of the fixtures coming up: Wolves, Crystal Palace, Luton, Fulham. Absolutely excellent. Then it's Liverpool, but then it's Wolves and Crystal Palace again after that. So some arguably absolutely terrific fixtures coming up for Cole Palmer over the Christmas period and into the new year as well. So definitely a player I would be looking to get my hands on if I didn't already have him as well. I think he would probably be one of the top priorities I would be looking to get into my team. Moving on to a player that was kind of and ahhing whether or not he was going to be fit and available for game week 17. He eventually was and did pick himself up an assist. It is Anthony Gordon, and as you can see on this list, has 3 out of the 4 kind of leading stats amongst these 3 players. He's got the most assists, the most underlying data, and the most points over the past 5 game weeks. A little bit more pricey at 6.2 million and a little bit higher owned at 23.4%. But, like I said, we're very similar to Chelsea. There are some really good fixtures coming up for Newcastle, Luton, Nottingham Forest. Then it's Liverpool, City and Villa as a free, which seems very, very difficult. And I think that is probably where I might just potentially switch off Anthony Gordon at that point. I don't know. Again, he does represent really good value at that lower price point. So I think I probably would still hold with him. The only kind of difference between Palmer and Gordon, if you were to split the two, is Gordon does play in the Carabao Cup with Newcastle in midweek this week, so potentially could see himself, maybe suffer an injury in that game, maybe, a little bit more rotation, could potentially miss out at the weekend against Luton, which would be absolutely devastating if you were looking to bring him in just for the short term. So I probably would say I'd prefer Palmer over Gordon out of the two there. And then the final one is a player I was tempted to bring in this week for a -4 to replace Anthony Gordon. I'm quite glad I didn't, but it is Richarlison. And I watched the game yesterday and I was very, very impressed. It's 3 goals for him now, 3 in the past 2 games, sorry. The data, it's not quite there, but it's 6.6 million for a guy who's going to be playing up front. Son is off to the Asian Cup as well, so I definitely think he might even worm his way onto penalties as well if Maddison isn't back. So you could get a midfielder who's playing up front, has really solid fixtures as well in the long term. You're looking at Everton, Brighton, Bournemouth, United, Brentford, Everton, and then Brighton again. So I'd expect him to play. There's not too many kind of other people coming like competition-wise for him. The only concern I do have, obviously, is his attitude. We've all known about that for years, but I think sometimes it works in his favour, sometimes it doesn't, and he falls out with managers in certain situations. But I think at the moment, I would be very, very tempted to bring in Richarlison as well, especially with, like I said, Son off to the Asian Cup, could get himself penalties. There isn't too much in terms of competition as well for places in that front line with injuries, players off to cups and suspensions for Spurs at the moment. So I do think he will play the next few games as well, but he is coming off quite early in games, around the 70th to 80th minute, which is a little bit disappointing compared to the other 2 lads who usually do see out more minutes. So I think if I had to go for one of these 3 players this week, I probably would be looking at Palmer first, then probably Anthony Gordon, then Richarlison third. But for a cheeky differential at 2.1% owned, I definitely do think he is going to be on a lot more people's radars, especially after scoring in this game week. And the final section that I wanted to go through today in the video is AFCON plus the Asian Cup. Obviously, both these kind of continental tournaments are coming up in the kind of January to February time period. And I think a lot of people don't really know what's going to happen with some of their players, how long they're actually going to be out for, and whether or not they need to remove them or keep them in their teams. As you can see, this graphic was created by Rob T FPL, absolute legend. Go and check him out. Obviously, the @ is there as well. There will be a link to his Twitter in the description as well. This is an absolutely fantastic graphic, so I've completely nabbed it off him, but it is excellent work. So go and check him out. Go and give the credit as well. But as you can see, if one of these players does go off to this tournament in game week 21, they are going to be completely out. Okay, they're going to be completely out of the tournament. So if you've got your Son, maybe you've got your Salah, other players like that, they will miss out on game week 21 completely. Game week 22, there's a sliver of opportunity. You do think potentially maybe people like Son or Salah could be back for one of these game weeks if one of their teams was to go out, but I don't think they will. I think they're probably going to progress kind of more towards the latter stages, but there is a slight risk that if one of these top players did come out, they're so important for their club sides that I do think they would be slowly embedded back into the side and eventually could be back for game week 22, but it is a slight risk. So that's the earliest that any player could be back from AFCON or the Asian Cup is game week 22. But as you can see, we're looking at the players that are going, and a lot of these you do feel will kind of make it towards the kind of latter stages of the tournament. You're thinking of Mohamed Salah, you're thinking of Son as well, and Matoma, these players that are going to be playing for very reputable nations within these competitions, got a very good opportunity of winning them. And realistically, you're probably looking at game week 25 onwards for them to actually be back. So it's definitely worth flogging these players out of our sides. If I take a look at Mohamed Salah, for instance, what fixtures is he actually going to miss? Let me just load that up very quickly, and Liverpool have disappeared. So he's going to miss, where is it? 21 he goes. So he'll miss Bournemouth, Chelsea, Arsenal, Burnley, and then could be back for the Brentford game. Realistically, though, probably not going to be if they go and win it. But we'll wait and see. So realistically, I don't think you're missing too many like golden fixtures in there for Salah. Arguably the Bournemouth and Burnley ones. But Chelsea and Arsenal, that's fine. That will benefit us in some way. In terms of Son, it's a little bit similar. Everton maybe in there. Brentford and Wolves that you're probably going to miss with Son. Not the worst thing in the world. But I think the key caveat and the key thing to take away from this is I wouldn't be looking to bring any players that you can see there as the key players marked on this list. I wouldn't be looking to bring any of them into my side at the present time of recording as well, just because they are going to miss quite a few tasty fixtures, and realistically they're not going to be back till game week 25, game week 26, you know, if their team does progress quite far in the tournament. So I definitely think it is worth looking to sell the likes of Son, of Salah, and kind of distribute the funds for the potential 5 to 6 game weeks that they are going to be away playing in these tournaments. If you did enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel or enjoy today's video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as we are trying to hit 3,000 by the end of the year. That would be absolutely immense if we could do that. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck this game week.